Now, I am really excited for this one, guys. Today we're going to be multiplying fractions by fractions, but we're going to do it with models. And I think this is so eye-opening and makes multiplying fractions have a lot of meaning. So let's get started. So if I wanted to find 1/3 times 1/4, we know we're going to multiply numerators and denominators, so it's going to be 1/12. But why? Let's do that. Let's figure out why. So we're going to divide the square into 3 equal rows since the denominator of the first fraction is 3. So notice I cut here and I cut here. 3 rows. Rows go side to side, columns go up and down. Then we're going to divide the square into 4 equal columns based on this 4 right here. Okay, so I'm going to divide it into 4 equal columns. There we go. Shade the portion of the model where 1/3 and 1/4 intersect. That would be this piece right here. Right? So if I shaded 1/3 of this whole thing, I would be shading, I divided it. I would be shading this. 1/3. This would be worth 1/3 of the total square, right? Because I cut here and I cut here, so I shaded 1 out of 3 equal pieces. Then if I look at the fourths, cutting them up and down, and I shaded 1/4. Notice how the only box that I shaded both times is this one right here. Okay? So how many sections of the model are shaded? 1 section. And now how many boxes are there total? 1 out of 12 total boxes are shaded, right? Because that's where are shaded where they intersect. Okay, so 1/3 times 1/4 is 1/12. My pieces got a lot smaller because I'm cutting them each into that many pieces. Let's do it again. 1/2 and 1/3. So again, here I cut into 1/2. Oh, 2/3, sorry, not 1/3, 2/3. So here I cut it into 1/2, and I'm going to shade 1/2 of it. So it's going to be 3 boxes, right? And then I'm going to cut it into thirds and shade 2/3. Going this way. So where do they intersect? Right here. Maybe I should do green. Right here is where they intersect. So how many pieces intersect? 2 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 out of 6 pieces intersect. Okay, and so number shaded 2 out of 6. If I simplify, divide them both by 2, I would get 1/3. So 1/2 times 2/3 is the same as 1 equals 1/3 of the whole shape is shaded. So if we want to fill it in, we're going to divide them into 2 equal parts, then divide it into 3 equal parts. How many sections are shaded? If we look at where they intersect, 2 sections are shaded, and it's now cut into 6 equal parts. Okay, let's try some more, guys. There will be a lot of examples today, so if you're still like, oh, I'm a little confused, keep following along then. In the second activity, how do the numerators of the fractions 1/2 and 2/3 relate to the total number of shaded sections? Okay, so when we multiply this, we know we're going to multiply numerators, right? 2. So how many sections were shaded? When we did the picture, there were 2 sections shaded, right? So the number, when I multiply numerators, it tells me how many sections to shade. Okay, it's worth the same, right? In the second activity, how do the denominators of the fractions relate to the total number of sections? So when I was doing 1/3 times 2, what was it? 1/2 times 2/3, sorry. 1/2 times 2/3. So the numerators told me how many shaded parts, and the denominators told me how many total parts. right? So how do they relate? When I multiply the denominators, it tells me how many total parts are in my whole. W-H-O-L-E, not H-O-L-E. Okay? Write a rule you can use to multiply fractions without using models. Multiply numerators over multiply denominators. Right? Which is the same thing that we did when we were multiplying by whole numbers. Shade the models to find each product. Write it in simplest form. So 1/2 times 1/2. Where do they intersect? 1 is double shaded out of how many pieces are there now? 4 total pieces equals 1/4. Notice, what did I do? Multiply numerators, multiply denominators, but that's what we're going to do tomorrow, okay? Tomorrow is going to be just multiply numerators, multiply denominators, done. Okay, so please don't just do that and skip the whole shading thing. Like, this is really important. Do the shading. Okay, so here I cut it into 5 equal parts, and I'm going to shade 4 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're pretending that middle line is non-existent. So I'm going to shade 4 equal parts. Now it's existent, and I'm cutting it in half, looking at it this way. And I need to shade 1 equal part. So I need to shade this side of it. Okay, where did they intersect? Right here. Where did they both get shaded? So that was 1, 2, 3, 4. Out of how many total pieces? 5 and 5 makes 10. 4/10. But it does say to write in simplest form, so I better divide by 2, and get 2/5. Draw models to help you solve exercises 3 through 7. Charlotte spent 1/2 of the day shopping at the mall. Okay, so I have my graph paper here. I need to make 1/2, so here's 1/2. Okay, and I'm going to shade in 1 piece out of my 1/2. Now, using a different color, I'm going to represent the 1/4. I'm going to cut it into 4 equal pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I have 4 equal pieces, and I need to shade 1/4. Okay, what fraction of the day did she spend trying on jeans? It's only overlapped in one spot. Do you see that, guys? One spot is overlapped. And so I am going to, 1 is overlapped out of how many total pieces? There are 8 total pieces. So 1/8 of the day. Yikes. What's 1/8 of the day? 1/8 times 24 hours in a day equals 24 over 8, or 24 divided by 8, or 3 hours trying on jeans. She spent 12 hours at the mall. Jiminy Christmas. This girl likes to shop. Okay, Miss Hendricks is buying a rectangular piece of land. That is 2/5 of a mile on one side and 5/6 of a mile on an adjacent side. So here is my model. And what I need to do, or make sure that I'm doing here, is I looked at my denominators, 5 and 6. So this side has 5 and this side has 6 on it. Okay, so if I'm going to divide into 5 equal parts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 5 equal parts now, and I need to color in 2/5 of them. 1, 2. Then I'm going to divide that same shape into 6 equal pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And I need to shade in 5 of those pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a lot of pieces that are overlapping here. These guys right here are overlapping. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 overlapping pieces out of 30 total pieces. Okay, so if I reduce this or simplify it, I can divide by 10, and get 1/3. What is the area of the piece of land? 1/3 mile. 1/3 of a mile. I'll write that up here, 1/3 mile. Okay. And I know I'm going to multiply because I'm talking about a rectangle that 2/5 is one side and 5/6 mile is the other side. How do I find the area of something? I multiply it. Right, so Katinka? Cross-country skied a trail that was 3/4 mile each way. 3/4. After skiing 2/3 of the trail, she turned around. What fraction of a mile did Katinka ski before she turned around? She skied a trail 3/4 mile each way. After skiing 2/3 of the trail, she turned around. So to me, that says we're supposed to be finding 3/4 of 2/3. 2/3 of 3/4, really. But okay. So again, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3. 1, 2, 3. Boop, 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 boop. There's my model. Okay. I need to break it into 4 equal parts and color in 3 out of 4. 1, 2, 3 out of 4. And then I need to break it into 3 parts. 1, 2, 3 equal parts. And I need to shade in 2. 1, 2. So where did I overlap? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out of 12 total parts, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, 6 out of 12, which we hopefully can look at that and say, boom, 1/2. But if you don't, divide by 6, 1 out of 2. So she skied 1/2 a mile before she turned around. Right. Miriam spent 3/4 of her allowance at the mall. So 3/4 at the mall. Of the money she spent, okay, this is money she spent, yep. 1/3 was spent on new earrings. Okay, so I need a 4 and a 3 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm going to cut it into 4 equal groups. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I need to shade 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. Then I need to cut it into 3 equal groups. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And I need to shade 1. Okay, where does it overlap? 1, 2, 3 out of 12. If I divide by 3, I'd get 1 out of 4. So what part? She spent 1/4 of her allowance. Okay, 1/4 of her allowance was spent on earrings. Last problem here. Lexi ate some of the apples that her mother brought home from the farmer's fair. Half of the apples were left over, and Star ate 1/6 of the apples that were left over. What fraction of the apples did Star eat? Okay, so I need a 2 and a 6. So I'm going to have 2 here and 6 over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Notice I'm just counting the boxes so I can divide them easily into 2 and 6 equal pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So first I'm going to shade it. Cut it in half. This whole thing is in half, and I'm going to shade half of it. So that'd be these little guys right here, right? I'm going to cut it into 6 equal pieces this way and shade 1/6 of it. Okay, where does it intersect? Intersects right here. That's where they both are shaded. So that'd be one piece out of 12 total pieces. So 1/12 of the apples is what? Star 8. All right, that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching.